Welcome back to One on One, New York's longest running sports call-in show. I'm Derek Beaulieu, joined by Thomas Tisdale and Nathan Rogers. But before we get into the Yankees and everything to do with Torpedo bats, Aaron Judge, and everything else baseball, let's give away some tickets. Aaron Judge homered yesterday, and that is the 321st home run of his career in 1,000 games. Which Yankee legend also had 321 home runs in his first 1,000 games with the Yankees? Call 718-817-2750 to give your answer to our wonderful producer, Kurt Sippel. Again, 718-817-2750. And we hear that wonderful jingle once again. But now we can finally get into some Yankees baseball. And we're going to obviously start with the big thing that everyone's been talking about for weeks, torpedo bats. And I'm sure everyone has heard at least something about torpedo bats at some point, and just everywhere on Instagram, everywhere on TikTok, everywhere on social media. But essentially, torpedo bats have moved some of the wood from the baseball bat that really wasn't being used, probably near, or mostly near the top of the bat, and moved it down into the barrel and moved the barrel a little bit. But the notable players using it on the Yankees are players like Anthony Volpe, players like Jazz Chisholm, players like Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, Austin Wells. But there's a lot of players outside the Yankees using it as well. Francisco Lindor of the Mets, Ellie De La Cruz of the Reds, who's done really well with the torpedo bat. And I kind of want to just get you guys' thoughts on the torpedo bat. Do you like it? It's obviously legal if you read the rules of baseball. It's obviously legal, but do you like it for the game of baseball?
I think it's good. I think for far too long, pitchers have had access to technology. Obviously, they're banned from using sticky stuff, but I think they've had access to unique technology in a way that has created almost a disadvantage for hitters. And I think this is the first time that we've seen hitters sort of develop technology that sort of fights back against the pitching, and it's going to make the game more exciting. I think the torpedo bats are a unique invention. The guy from MIT obviously spent a lot of time developing that, and it's not like you can just go to your local Dick's Sporting Goods and buy a torpedo bat. They are specifically made based on where you hit the ball. I think Jazz and Volpe, or Volpedo as we like to call him now, developed the torpedo bats in a way that prevented them from being jammed. And so the torpedo bat is just a new way, and it's taking advantage of technology, of new technology that we have to make our hitters a little bit better at the game. Some people like to say it's cheating and that the hitters should just go back to using regular old hickory back in the 1930s or whenever the last time we used hickory was. But I think this is good for the sport of baseball. It's going to make games more exciting. More home runs is usually always good for the sport. And I think just because of the success of the Yankees so far has drawn attention to the torpedo bats. I think if we talk about the first two games of the Arizona series, they did not necessarily hit the ball particularly well. So if that was the opening series, then maybe we're not having this conversation at all. I think just because of the record-breaking day, we're having a conversation about the torpedo bats. So that's my take on it. I think torpedo bats are good for the sport of baseball, more exciting to watch, especially for the casual fan.
I think more than anything with the torpedo bats is that the MLB has zero idea how to market itself, and that this has been going on for the last 3 years. And the best example I heard about it was during the Michael Kay show. Actually, now it's Don Hahn Rosenberg. They were talking about it, and they said when hockey introduced the composite sticks, they weren't like made out of a block of wood anymore. They released a press release. They said, hey, guys, everyone can use these sticks now. They're legal completely, and everyone should use them because they're going to create more offense for our sport. MLB instead hid it. They had the Yankees go on air and talk about the torpedo bats, so they broadcasted it to the world. And then everyone was pissed about it because no one knew about the torpedo bats in time. And the MLB should have been marketing these as we have new technology that's going to create more offense in our sport. And it's going to be 15 to 15 games that maybe some people aren't going to enjoy. But more home runs are better for the sport. and it's more fun for the sport.
Yes, Kurt.
I think
Yes.
I think
agree.
they hit it on purpose though, because I don't think if they came out in a
That's
press release.
ridiculous to hide things on purpose.
No, but I think if they came out in a press release and they talked about the torpedo bats and how they're going to revolutionize the sport, I don't think there's as much chatter about them. I think that people invested in MLB will obviously pay attention and would be excited about that. But I think the people who are sort of half tuned into the MLB, just because of the explosion and sort of the drama surrounding the torpedo bats, I think generated more excitement and has MLB in a good place in terms of viewership, and then of course the offensive revolution that's going to happen because of the torpedo bats.
Yeah, I think this is awesome for the MLB, but I do agree with Kurt that the MLB is not really using it to their advantage, that they could, like, to the maximum. You know, like they could really market this at, like, to really attract more viewership. But I think just for talking just baseball, quality of baseball, it's just so fun to watch. I mean, the thing that people just don't like is just because the Yankees, like, hired some MIT nerd.
No, it's
to,
just
like,
it's not even that. It's just that it's the Yankees.
Yeah, it's
100%.
literally just the Yankees. But other teams are using it too. But, like, they basically, like, kind of started the trend, right? And I think for sports now, I think the key is just, like, push the envelope, like, evolve, like, change, and keep going up. Like, we talked about college basketball, like, the one seeds are getting better, mid majors are changing, like baseball, it's just changing. And also, like, the tush push, like, I just love when teams find something within the rules. Like, this is legal, people. This is legal, the torpedo bat, and it's within the rules. And it's so Belichick, by the way, of the Yankees. This is very Belichick of the Yankees to do this, and I it hurts me to say that I love something from the Yankees, but I love this.
Oh, 100%. And, like, as Kurt mentioned, this is not, like, a new thing. This is not a new thing. Giancarlo Stanton specifically is probably the best example of this. He's out right now, obviously, with his elbows being hurt, but he used it the entirety of last postseason. And we all know, especially in this studio, exactly what Giancarlo Stanton did during the playoffs. I mean, he won ALCS MVP for a reason, and it's just this isn't a new thing that people are seeing, but it's new to a lot of fans now. And I kind of wanted to go into why exactly torpedo bats are doing what they're doing and why they're so effective. And it's mostly has to do with players that were getting jammed and now they're not anymore because of how the barrel has changed. Players like Aaron Judge, who use the barrel to their advantage already, don't need this, but players like Anthony Volpe, Jazz Chisholm, and Ellie De La Cruz, who I'm going to go into, do. But Ellie De La Cruz maybe doesn't need it as much, but he's using it to his advantage. Volpe last year had a barrel percentage of 3.9%. So that means 3.9% of the balls he hit on the barrel. This year so far, it's up to 19%. That is an insane increase to his barrel percentage because he's not getting jammed as much and he's using the barrel. Jazz Chisholm, 9.7%, pretty good. Up to 29.4%. That's insane. Ellie De La Cruz, 12.7, elite. Like, that's an elite number. 20.8 now this year so far. I mean, it's revolutionized baseball hitting so far. It's good to see technology now getting introduced for hitters rather than pitchers. I mean, pitching mechanics has changed so much over the years. Even the past 5 years, pitching mechanics has changed heavily. I mean, the sweeper wasn't even a pitch 4 years ago. It's now one of the best pitches in MLB. The baseball bat has not changed its shape. Maybe it's the wood type they're using or the material. The shape of the baseball bat has not changed in at least a century. I mean, it hasn't changed at all.
You have to think, though, like, with the bat changing so much, like with the Yankees, because you have Volpe, Wells, Jazz, Bellinger, Goldschmidt, like, they're all using it, right? And the people that were kind of suffering a little bit at the plate, now they're just hitting dingers, right? Like, I sat down first inning on the game on Thursday, 4 runs in the first inning. That's like that's unheard of. But it begs the question, though. I'm wondering, like, because the batters are using new technology, like, how do the pitchers adapt to this? Like, if you're a pitcher, what do you do to, like, adapt to these torpedoes?
I think it's gonna be tough to see, and I dislike the argument that it's rewarding bad hitters for it's rewarding their tendencies and their bad tendencies. But the thing is that the torpedo bat is not teaching you how to hit the ball.
No.
And I caution against that sort of being an generalized statement, because then you can get into the argument that Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame because steroids don't teach you how to hit a ball. But the thing is that the Yankees are using analytics to their advantage, and I think it's exciting to watch. And I honestly have no idea how the pitchers adapt to this. I think it's going to be difficult. I think they're going to have to go back to statistics and find out where are the batters vulnerable, because at the end of the day, the batters have a weakness at some spot.
Yeah, I guess you just throw lower, try to get some more ground balls, because once I feel like once the ball hits the barrel on a torpedo bat, like on a bat,
it's a nuke.
Yeah, it's just out, and it's just seeds every time. They're just finding the hole in the outfield, and it's a frenzy. By the way, the Yankees are on a frenzy.
Oh yeah. But even though like you're using a torpedo bat and maybe it is a little better than a normal bat, it's like we've been saying, it's the missileer, not the missile. Like the players still have weakness. They have weaknesses. You can still throw them a high fastball. If they can't get any barrel to the ball, they're not going to hit it anyway. It doesn't matter how big the barrel is on the torpedo bat, even if it's within MLB standards, by the way.
Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing in sports.
Oh,
and
easily.
That's so true.
Easily.
And
players bat 300 is elite.
Yeah.
That's for a reason.
I just watched, I'm gonna like put an analogy out there. I just watched Harry Potter, and it's like it's gonna make sense. It's gonna make sense. It's the one who wields the wand and not the wand.
Okay, but I'd like to extend this Harry Potter metaphor here.
Right.
And
let's stick here.
The sport of Quidditch, aren't the players that have the best brooms, like the Firebolt, for example?
Yes.
For our listeners who are not in tune with the Harry Potter universe, that is the best broom. It's the fastest broom. It's the one that can turn the quickest. Is that not inherently a disadvantage, because the players with the Quidditch players with the best brooms just immediately have an advantage, and it's unfair for the sport for the people that can't afford.
I love we're talking about
torpedo
Quidditch
bats.
I love this. No, but I also think I'm just gonna also extend this metaphor even more. We're gonna go like a part 3 here. It's a trilogy, and I'm just gonna say, like, in those Quidditch games, there's times where like sorcery and magic has been used to bail out people without the best equipment. So I will say it's the knowledge, it's the skill, it's if you can hit the ball with the bat, you're better off. And it's just it's the one who wields the wand and not the wand.
To sum all of this up, the Yankees are really good at baseball. Let's just go with that.
And everyone
speaking
should watch
of
every game.
Yes, exactly. Everyone should watch every Yankee game, because someone doing something historic, who's always doing something historic, it's Aaron Judge. I mean, he's played 7 games this season so far, and he has 6 home runs already. He had a 3 home run game in that historic 9 home run game with the Yankees on Saturday. Last week exactly. But I mean, he's been electric. He's batting over 400. His OPS is over 1600. He's putting on historic numbers, which we haven't seen. And last year he put on historic numbers again from his 2022 season when he broke the home run record in the AL. But last year, as we noticed, people were worried about Aaron Judge. For the first 25, 30 games, he was struggling. All of April, he was struggling. But he put up amazing numbers, 320-ish batting average, 58 home runs, so many RBIs. But this season, he's starting off in April, hot, electric, and amazing. And what do we think this means for his home run record, his other records? A season that might be better than already the best right-handed season of all time.
Ooh.
What do we think this means for the
60
future
dingers?
of Aaron Judge?
60 dingers, maybe.
60 dingers again?
Yeah.
I think so, because you mentioned last season and the slow start, but then there was also a period in late August, maybe early September, where he also struggled, and then he broke out of that slump with the grand slam against the Red Sox.
Love it.
And
love talking about the Red Sox.
And so Aaron Judge is undoubtedly going to have stretches over the season where, he's not hitting 6 home runs in 7 games. Like, obviously, this is not sustainable
it's Aaron Judge.
Over a 162-game season. The thing that scares me the most about Aaron Judge not making or not breaking the record is that the protection behind him can be questionable at times. If whoever's behind him, if it's Goldschmidt, if it's Volpe,
You
if
don't
it's
like 100-year-old Paul Goldschmidt behind Aaron Judge?
He's not 100, Kurt.
Sorry, he's
He's
107.
Kurt, I need you to stop interrupting our segment. We're having a great segment, and I kind of need you to back off a little bit.
yeah, the Mets will come later.
We'll talk about the Mets later. You can talk about Pete Alonso. Is that okay? Thank you, Kurt.
I might
Go
keep
ahead,
on the
Thomas.
mic.
Oh.
Anyway, I think Goldschmidt, the protection behind Aaron Judge, could be called into question sometimes. Where who's gonna if the guy behind him isn't batting particularly well, you just walk Judge, and I think that's a pretty easy decision for teams to make. I think the Blue Jays did it quite frequently last season.
It's already happened so far this season. He already has one.
It's already happened. I think it could continue to happen if Soto was still on the team. Sorry to say,
It
Juan
almost,
Soto and a Yankee
Thomas,
step
I didn't want to interrupt you there, but it's almost like there's a gap without Juan Soto.
It's almost like Jazz Chisholm behind him is 4 home
yeah,
runs.
yeah, because Jazz.
It's almost like Austin
'cause
Wells
Jazz
is
Chisholm,
batting him.
because Jazz Chisholm is Juan Soto.
I didn't say Jazz Chisholm was Juan Soto. I said Jazz Chisholm is batting amazing. That's what I said.
in the
But
first
anyway,
5
to go
games.
against this Juan Soto narrative, Juan Soto batted in front of Aaron Judge last year.
I'm
and
just
so-
saying that's backup
Yeah.
because it was hard to decide who you wanted to walk. Juan Soto
Okay,
would get on
anyway.
base, and then you would have a more powerful lineup.
Didn't Juan Soto strike out to end the game against the Astros?
Doesn't matter. I'm
Thank you,
saying
Kurt.
just in
Go ahead,
general.
Thomas.
Yeah, but
Anyway,
what about the Soto shuffle?
I think
Alright.
the Yankees have enough talent that they can have a rotating cast behind Aaron Judge and offer him at least a little bit of protection. I think Aaron Judge will be intentionally walked at a higher rate than he was last year. But my question to y'all is, how many home runs does Aaron Judge need at the break, at the All-Star
At
break,
the All-Star break.
to, in theory, break the home run record? I'm not talking about American League.
You're talking about 73
I'm
Barry
talking
Bonds?
about 73
Oh,
Barry
wow.
Bonds.
I think okay, so the All-Star break isn't exactly halfway. It's about 90, 100 games into
Yeah.
the season. So if we're given a number, 45, 50?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I don't.
To be comfortable.
I think
okay.
yeah.
Comfortable. Okay.
Realistically, 45 probably, because then he can hit the other 30 in the rest of the 60 games. I think 45, 50 is the number to be comfortable with him
Yeah.
saying he might do this. If he's at 40, he still has the chance, obviously, if he goes red hot like he is right now. But
He
It's-
loves the second half of the season though.
he does.
So
He loves
I
the
think
whole season except April,
Yes.
which right now he's loving April.
Yeah.
And then obviously hates October.
Okay, we
but-
didn't have to say that. I
Alright.
was going to ignore
But
that
talking
part.
about Babe Ruth, though, the most home runs in the first 1,000 games with the Yankees, 321 Babe Ruth, 321 Aaron Judge.
And that was our trivia question earlier, which someone did get correctly, and they did win those Yankee tickets.
Congratulations to that lucky listener. But anyway,
It was Henry Wolf, by the way. So.
big Henry Wolf guy.
Thank you.
Anyway, shout out to Henry. Anyway, but we talk about Aaron Judge and his place in the Yankee history books. Obviously, he ties Babe Ruth with that record. Where does he rank all time in terms of Yankees? Does he need a championship? Because obviously, the postseason struggles are real. But the ring is a team game. Kurt is behind the glass pointing at his ring finger. But I think that in terms of championship, I don't think you can necessarily fault Aaron Judge for the championship. I don't think
I have a rebuttal on that. I think if Aaron Judge was on any team other than the New York Yankees, 100% yes. But he's on the 27-ring New York Yankees. If you don't have a ring on the New York Yankees, you're automatically seen as below anyone who has multiple. So that is one problem I have with that. I do think that the New York Yankees, if you're going to be on an all-time list, you do need a ring. And I do think Judge needs a ring to submit himself in any all-time list. But he obviously needs to get there, and he, as we said a little bit earlier, does need to play well in October. But we'll have to see how he does that this year. But I do think if we're going to talk about Aaron Judge on an all-time list, he needs a ring.
Can I just say one thing? So Don Mattingly is below any other Yankee ever before him because he doesn't have a ring.
I didn't say any Yankee. I said most Yankees who have multiple
just
rings.
gonna say he doesn't have any. So
Okay, well, you know
does it mean that he's just a bum because he has no rings?
I never said
27
he would-
rings. I know it's all that matters in Yankee land.
Okay.
But I'm just saying.
Okay. Thank you, Kurt.
Just asking. Does that mean that he's not as good?
Kurt, can I continue my?
But I'm asking you a question.
You know what? No.
Doesn't.
No.
So
It doesn't hurt him.
So Aaron Judge could be retired as a great power hitter, everything, maybe broke Barry Bonds' home run record, all of that, will Yankee fans look down upon him if he does not get them a ring?
I think more than if he had a ring. I think he will be looked down on a little bit if he doesn't have a
I think
ring.
Yankee fans will look down upon him a lot if he doesn't get rings.
Especially if he continues to not play well in October. But anyway, moving on from Aaron Judge, I have just one small question before we end off this segment and go into Mets territory in Queens. With the Yankees hitting so many home runs in their first 7 games, they have, I believe, 22 so far, unless they hit more that I'm unaware of, which would not be surprised, which is the most in the first few games of the season, of any season. Are the Yankees too reliant on the home run? Are they too home run heavy that if maybe the long ball doesn't get out, will they struggle to score?
The advantage of Yankee Stadium is that if you hit the ball high and relatively far, it's probably going to be a home run. And so I don't like the notion that the Yankees are over-reliant on the home run ball. I think that they're using the stadium to their advantage. I'm thinking back to the Pirates game from last night where they only hit 1 home run or something like that, but the rest of the runs came through, I guess, small ball or fundamental baseball. And I think the New Yorks are good enough in terms of contact and power that they have a diverse enough offensive lineup that they're not over-reliant on the home run ball. I think they're utilizing the short porch to their advantage, and obviously they're going to hit a lot of home runs, but the contact is good enough that I think they can play small ball when they need to.
Also, the Yankees are second in the MLB in extra base hits, so they're I don't know if I would say they're relying on the dingers and going yard all the time, but when you're hitting the ball so well, it's like just keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah, I can 100% agree with that. And if the Yankees continue to play how they are, it doesn't matter if they're home run heavy. If they can continue to hit home runs, it's going to win them games. So I think that's going to do it for our Yankee session. But after the break, we're going to go into Mets, maybe talk about Pete Alonso a little bit. Maybe they're pitching. But we'll see you after the break. Don't go anywhere.